Hello everybody, welcome once again to my YouTube channel, Rumble, and I'm trying to work it out on Twitter, but I'm having issues. So right now, YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. Anyways, this video is about I want to talk about the falsehoods of you need to get a real job. How many times have you heard that? You know, if I had $100 for every time somebody told me you need to get a real job when I was starting a business, I could probably be retired right now. And I get it. I get what they're I get what they're driving for. I get what they're talking about. And a lot of times it has to do with simply being able to live the good life without any struggle. That's 9 times out of 10, that's what it boils down to. So let's just go ahead and get into this a little bit. So the first thing I want to say is, for those of you who are Christians, claim to be Christians, and you want to say this, go get a real job, to somebody who has a little ambition, I want you to understand that there is nowhere in the Bible that says you need to go and get a job. Nowhere. So why do I say that, and what do I mean about that? What is there to that? So if you take a look at 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 in verse, let's look at verse 10 or 11. Just go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, 10 or 11. Verse 10, that is. So it says, For even when we were with you, we used to give you this order: if anyone will not work, neither let him eat. So as it stands, what I want to take a look at in this video is the difference between a job versus work versus starting a business. Let's take a look at the word work. The word work comes from the Greek word, let's see, let me go to my notes right over here. In this particular verse, it is ergadzomai, or energy. I don't think I pronounced that right because I'm having I'm having trouble with the diphthongs right now in my own brain. It comes from the word energy. It means to put forth effort. And if you look at the actual, not going into a deep lexicon, but just taking it out of the Strongs, it means to labor. It means to trade, to do business, and produce. Okay? And so the edict is, if you are not willing to put forth effort and energy to produce, if you're not engaged in business, if you're not engaged in trade, then you shouldn't eat. And so that can be a little different than simply get a real job. And at the same time, it can be, well, the lines can cross. And we're going to take a look at that. So when a person goes to get a job, there are certain advantages and disadvantages. And I will say this, that I'm not here to slam jobs. That's not the point. And I'm not here to say that getting a job is wrong. But if you are a type of person that doesn't necessarily want a job, but you're going to work and you're going to start a business, I do want to encourage you that while the people around you are well-meaning, that them telling you you need to get a real job when things aren't going just as they think it should go is not necessarily the right answer. Because what they're looking at is when you're going to get a real job, you're looking at walking into the door, setting down to produce, which is good, with security in mind, and that can be a false sense of security because there's really no lifetime security when it comes to job. They're looking at the benefits that are baked into the work or the job, and I said work or job because we're going to go there. And they're looking at the fact that you can come home at the end of the day and live a decent lifestyle, one that you create for yourself with the job, and that's all you have to do. 9 times out of 10, it is either coming from a parent who's had, a job all their life and has no idea, other than that it's risky. They have no idea what it takes to run a business because they've worked a job all their life and they've gotten by all their life. Or they see the risks and they understand that a lot of times when you work and start a business, you have a great rate of failure in your first 7 to 10 years. And they don't want you to go through that heartache of putting your heart, soul, and mind and your wallet into everything you're doing for 15 hours a day for the next several years and maybe get a dime out of it, maybe build some wealth, or maybe lose your shirt. That's really the gist of it. And if you're the guy and not the girl doing this, and you're married, you need to get a real job. It's probably, even if it's through your wife, it's probably coming from her parents or someone within her family looking out for her best well-being. I'm just about willing to put a wager on that. Let's take a look at the word job for just a minute. If you know anything about Scripture, of which I've already alluded to, you know it's the same spelling as the dude back in the Bible who lost his shirt, he lost his family, he lost his wealth, all in one day. His job security was gone. But understand this. Job, J-O-B, job, Job didn't have a job. Job was the man that created the jobs. And that's something else I want to go into with you. Job was the man. And Job was very, very, very wealthy. And Job lost it all. As a matter of fact, Job is the first person in the Bible recorded for us that basically went bankrupt. We can't say that there was a system of bankruptcy when he was alive on the planet, but if there was, he would have been the first one to file. And his wife basically said, Job, just curse God and die. This is too miserable. You don't need to go through this. Just die. That's all you need to do. Curse God and then die. Well, that was the wrong answer. So, Job did not curse God. He did not die. And when his grieving was over, when his plagues were over, when Satan lifted his finger off of his body and his body was restored, as in Deuteronomy chapter 8 and verse 18, God gave him the ability to once again put his hand to the grind and create wealth. And Job did not forget God, nor did Job forget that God had given him the ability to do this. That's something that, as people, we need to be very, very mindful of. God gives us the ability to do the things that we do. God calls us to do the things that we do. So the difference is with a job. You go into a job that someone else has created for you. Now let's take a look here on the screen, and I'm going to draw something out for you. And this is the whole idea. Oh, wrong button. Let's try this one. There we go. So when you are your own person, let me bring this over here, and you are working, you are producing, you are trading, you are creating a business or self-employment for yourself. It's you doing this all the way up until you make yourself a business. On the other hand, when you walk into a job, this guy over here is already up here. He started here and he worked his way up to get to here. Okay? This is the man. And you walk into here to do your little producing. This is the job. This is already here. This is already here. And when people tell you you need to go in here and get a real job, they don't want you over on the left here working and sweating, or you to get up to here. They don't want you to be here. Or they want you to be here immediately without having to do all this. Without having to work, without having to produce, without having to trade, without having to business. But what they don't see is that when you walk into a job, this guy at the top has already done this, created this job, and you are still biblically, by God's edict, required to put out energy, organizomai, energy, effort. I'm going to be off the screen. And produce. So this guy doesn't have to do it all anymore. You're doing this part. Somebody else is doing this part. Somebody else is doing this part. And he says, when you do this, you get this amount of dollars, you get this amount of benefits for this amount of time. The difference is that you being here will never, ever go past this ceiling because the numbers don't allow it. This guy has to have a ceiling on you. He's got to have a ceiling on the next guy, and he's got to have a ceiling on the next guy as to how much you're going to make. Because if you make over that, this whole thing collapses. The only way to raise this ceiling for everybody is to bring in more money. That means produce more. You produce more, you produce different, and you produce more quality than the next guy. But folks, when you walk into this job, you get so-called job security, you get so-called benefits for the time that you trade, but you will never get past the ceiling because that ceiling is baked into every single slot in this business. And the difference is he's at the top because he's already done all of these slots. And the way he makes more money is he adds to these, and he adds 2 of these slots, or 3 of these slots, or 4 of these slots. Then he adds another slot here, and he adds another slot here. And in essence, multiplies his money. Instead of him doing all this, he keeps adding to this, and he can go up. But the numbers will tell you that these people down here can never go up here. Now, here's the fallacy of the job security idea. If this person over here doesn't do their job, let's just say this. If this person here doesn't do their job, and this person doesn't do their job, and this person doesn't do their job, and this person doesn't do their job, then this business is going to shrink. And some of the stuff's going to go away. You see? If this guy decides to exit the business, he's done. And this isn't a business that can be bought out, this stuff's going to go away. If somebody comes in and buys it out, if somebody else if somebody else comes in and buys it out, and they change any of this, your job security is in jeopardy. The only thing that's not in jeopardy at this point is this spot right here. That's the man. Because he's making his money, and he's a smart kind of guy or gal. The person's smart. It could be a man or a woman. I'm not trying to be sexist. Come on now. But if he's smart, he's already reinvesting his money like he did when he was down here. Okay? When you're told you need to get a real job, what's being said is, we don't want you to go through the heartache. We don't want you to go through all this energy. We don't want to have you to produce on your own. We don't want you to maybe lose your shirt. We don't want your business to go bye-bye. We don't want you to struggle, blood, sweat, and tears, and have a chance at getting up here. Just, enjoy the little bit of crumbs that you can get. Now, some of these crumbs can be pretty big if you work for a big industry that's bigger than this guy here. If you got a bunch of these guys, and you got a board of directors, and you got a guy, or you got a business that's built itself, insurance, law, science, engineering, and they're on the market, then this stuff is a little more stable, but you're still not going to make it past the ceiling. Okay? That's how that works, and that's what's being said. Now, the difference is when you start this over here, let's see if we can do a new one. Let's go get rid of that. Let's start a new one. When you start, when you start your business, and if you're the guy that would rather work, or the gal would rather work and build something, when you're starting your business, to plow past that ceiling, and you're producing and you're trading, you go out and you get other customers. You get other forms of income. And that income returns, and then this income returns, and this income returns, and it multiplies. Instead of just one stream, it multiplies. And that's how you break through the ceiling. And when you got all these other people doing the producing and doing this, you break through, and you break through, and you break through the ceiling. So that's the difference between you working, you getting a real job, and you conducting business. And when somebody says you need to get a real job because they can see you struggling super hard to make things happen, when they see people screwing you over left and right, when they see bigger companies than you breaching contract, and there's not a lawyer in sight that will touch you, and no general attorney or state's attorney or anybody else attorney general that's going to help you out because you're such a small fish, they don't want you to go through that. And I'm going to tell you what, I've gone through this over and over and over again. But here I am. I'm working my tail off. And if I lose a customer, I can always find another customer. When a lot of people that get the real job and they develop a lifestyle, they've got the home, they've got the garage, they've got the outbuilding, they've got this or that, whatever they want, the boat, the snow machines, whatever it is. And there's nothing wrong with this lifestyle. And I'm gonna explain this in just a second, but there's nothing wrong with this lifestyle. But here's the difference. When you work for yourself and you are creating a business and hopefully not just self-employment, but a business that can run when you're not there, then you've broken free from the ceiling. You have created a system that works, and you then will have the benefits that are baked into the business that the people that come in for the real job have, that you've been able to afford to provide for them. You also go on vacation whenever you want, not when you're told. You could go on vacation all year long if you want, or run business from your laptop. It just depends on the business. It depends on your model of business. It all depends. But the bottom line is that'll never happen when you get a real job. That's just not going to happen. So this is the surrounding differences and similarities between working, putting forth effort, which the Bible says if you don't work, neither should you eat. It doesn't say go get a job. It says if you don't work, if you don't put forth effort, if you don't put forth energy, if you're lazy and you're riding on the coattails of others, you shouldn't eat. And if you have a job, you should be putting in the effort, you should be putting forth the work, and you should be producing so that the people around you are also built up so that it continues to work to everybody's advantage. But at the same time, if you think that you're going to do that and that's where you want to be, then don't complain because you've made your choice. If it ain't just exactly what you want, there isn't no complaining. You've made your choice. And having said that, if you don't have the guts and you don't have the backbone to put forth the effort to start something from nothing, if you don't have the emotional well-being in the head to plow through, when you put your hand to the plow and see that plow through to the end of the field without knowing you're going to hit a rock and break the plow and you got to fix the plow, or you got to bend the plow back into shape, or then when you're done plowing, then you're going to have to plant, and then you're going to have to cultivate, and then you're going to have to weed, and then you're going to have to harvest. If you don't have the constitution to go through the hardships, then just get a job. But when you get a job, do the work. Do the work and do it to the best of your ability. Do all that you do as unto the Lord, Colossians chapter 3. And put forth the effort. And there's no shame in that. That's a good thing. But if you think that you are entitled to more, then get your lazy butt off the couch and go out and work and build a business for yourself and quit complaining. And for those of you who just don't have a problem working, but you would rather be self-employed and work for yourself, when those people say you need to get a real job, you do what you're called to do. You follow your bent and don't let anybody else persuade you. If you are a man, you provide for your family, you build what God has provided, your ability to build the castle. And understand that unless the Lord builds the house, they that labor, labor in vain. And never forget that God has given you the ability to put your hand to the plow and to make wealth. Deuteronomy 8:18. Understand that there really is no security anywhere. All of these things are by the grace of God. And that we are here but a vapor. And whatever you do, do it as unto the Lord. And if you don't claim to be a Christian, then you've, again, made your choice. But as Joshua said, you determine whether it is good or evil to serve the Lord, and make your choice. But as for me and my house, we are going to serve the Lord. And I think you will find that if you understand these basic principles, you're going to go through the fire. The fire refines you. The fire will test you. The fire will help you perfect your work. The fire will perfect your character. James 1 talks about that. James 1 says that, go through everything with patience, knowing that enduring patience will bring completion. And if you lack wisdom, ask of God, who gives to all men liberally and does not withhold, but ask, believing that he will give you, for he that doubts is a double-minded man and unstable in all of his ways. And go through the difficult times, but stay true to your calling. Fix the plow and finish the field. And then get ready to plant. And then see that plant through and pull the weeds, and then get ready for the harvest. Whatever type of business you're called to be in, whatever work you decide to engage in, put forth the effort and do your very best. For those of you who would tell someone just to get a real job, if that person is not a lazy person and they're working their tail off to make things work, I encourage you to, instead of putting negative and bad thoughts into that person's mind, either directly or through proxy, because you don't have the stomach to do what it takes to do what they're doing, take a step back. And then instead of discouraging them, encourage them and get behind them. And if this is your sister-in-law and this is what she and her husband have decided that is good for them, get behind them. Don't discourage them. And if they need help, offer to help. But don't tell them to get a real job. Because to be frankly honest, that's the worst thing they can do. Because if they're not lazy, they'll figure it out. They will figure it out. They'll make it happen. By the grace of God, they will make it happen. If they're not lazy, they're going to figure it out. And if it's your daughter that's married to the guy that's out there working and things don't go just right, he's going to wise up. If he's any kind of a worker and he's not lazy, he might not be the smartest tool in the shed, but he's going to make it happen. Get behind him. Quit putting, I'm going to tell you what, if you put that garbage into your daughter's mind and that causes marriage problems, you are as much to blame for failure in that marriage and business as they are. Get behind them. And for you, man or woman, if you're the one hearing this stuff and you know what you're doing, and you just need to update your skills, you need to learn and update your skills, you keep your hand to the plow and figure it out. Educate yourself and keep working at it. Don't quit. Keep not only reinvesting your money into building your business, Keep reinvesting in yourself so that you can grow, so that you're not the thing holding your work, self-employment, or business down. And understand, because you don't look like a Bill Gates, which I deplore at this point, but if you don't look like somebody like that has a multi-billion-dollar industry, if you are good at what you do, you just keep at it, because success is not what other people think it is. Success is simply doing what God called you to do to the best of your ability. And he says when you seek him first in his kingdom, he's going to add everything that you need unto you. We all don't need real jobs. Now, if you're the kind of person that can't stomach risk and can't stomach losing and can't stomach hardship, you need to get a real job, and there's nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you go and get a real job and you're just maintaining to get it for your income, and you're not doing your best, then you're wrong. If you're not doing your best and somebody has opened the door for you to put into their business and produce so that you can both make money and it's good for everybody and you're just getting by, you are wrong. Do all that you do as unto the Lord and not as unto men. Understand this. If you don't do all that you do as unto the Lord and not as unto man, your eggs are in one basket. And if that basket goes away, you are at least in part responsible for that, because you did not do everything you can do to make that basket as successful as it should be, working the job. That is, if you're maintaining your job without actually excelling. Let me take a look at my notes and see if I'm missing anything. I do want to mention one thing to you. You know, I'm on the back end of my middle age years. I know I only look 29. Thank you. But really, and there was a time that I went through where they say, you know, either 3 strikes and you're out, or 3rd time's a charm. And you know, I was really good at what I did. And working for other people, I would hit the ceiling. Working for myself, I just couldn't break the ceiling. But I was basically fighting it myself uphill. And not to be putting anybody down, but it was just me. And I would run into wall after wall after wall. And it's okay. And then I start over. And I got to a point where I felt like I'm just getting too old to continue to fight the fight. I'm too old to go through these things again. But I'm working it out, and I'm doing it differently. And I've come to the conclusion that I really want to finish well. I want to finish well in my Christian life, walking with the Lord. That is, making sure that I am in a walking, living relationship with Almighty God through Jesus Christ. His sacrificing, the payment, Christ the sacrifice, the atonement for my sins, the payment for my sins, that I am walking with God like Adam started out in the cool of the day. talk about this all the time, in that I finish well what he's called me to do. And I was on the verge of looking to make more money to just do better. And in essence, the Lord said, why are you not? I was praying and going to bed at 10 to 10:30 at night. And I said, Lord, this is the direction I'm looking at going. And he's like, well, why are you not using the gifts and the talents that I gave you? I put photography in you since you were a child. I put video in you since you were a child. You were not good in academia. You were terrible in school. You did okay in college, but it wasn't for you. But then when you went to Bible school, you excelled in Bible. Why are you not using the gifts and the talents I gave you, both physical and talent-wise, but also spiritual? And I said, okay. All right, Lord. He just once. That's all I said. Why are you not using the talents and the gifts that I've given you? Just once. That was it. Said nothing else. I said, okay, Lord. Say no more. And I'm going back to where I first began, but I'm doing it different. I'm going slower. In my old age, getting my older years up, I'm going slower, trying to go wiser, pay as I go. I'm not looking at the Fortune 500 or the Inc. magazines and going, wow, man, they got it going on. I need to do that. I'm not doing that. I'm taking the money that I make and I'm reinvesting it one item at a time, one push at a time. I'm reinventing myself, as I've said in my other videos. And it's going to be what it's going to be. And if it's successful, it's successful. If it's not, I don't care. I'm doing it. And it'll be successful, but it might not be the big money like other people think it should be successful. But the point of the matter is, I'm going to finish well. And I'm not too old to make it happen. And that's what I want to say in closing. Finish well. Doesn't matter whether you're young. If you're young, start well. Do the math. Take the wise challenges and risks. But don't be stupid. And if you're at a place where seems like you've hit a ceiling or you can't get past a roadblock, it's time to reinvest in yourself and get another area of education and ask the Lord, what is it I need to see? What is it I need to learn to continue to go where you want me to go, and learn it? And be sure it is according to the Word of God. There's so much garbage out there, so much mysticism, so much commanding of God, so much, Lord, make this happen. That's not how we're to be. If the Lord wills is how you should take it, James chapter 4. And keep moving forward, plow the field. And if you're going into your elder years, whatever that may be for you, and you think you want to retire and just burn your retirement on fleshly desires, I would implore you to not only just enjoy the fruit of your labor that you've had in the past and that it has afforded you now, but reinvest in yourself, even in your retirement funds, in your time that you spend and how you spend it. And either move into another area, whatever it might be, and finish well. Don't just stop working. God said, if you don't work, you don't eat. If you don't put forth some kind of effort, and I think even in retirement, because retirement is not a biblical concept. Inheritance is, retirement, I haven't found it in the Bible. So, and I'm not saying don't retire, I'm saying use your retirement wisely, not just to burn it on your own fleshly, pleasurely desires. And use it to add to you finishing well. use it to help others finish well. And understand you're never too old. Things might change, the direction might change, the function might change, but you're never too old. Don't quit working, don't quit trying, and don't quit learning. I hope that this has been an encouragement to you. I hope that you've gotten something out of it. And if you have, I ask that you would just simply on YouTube or on Rumble, like and subscribe and follow. And look for the next video that I put out. Not only will I do these live videos, but I've got other things in the works as well. I'm just taking my time because I have another business of self-employment that I'm involved in. So it just doesn't happen as fast as I'd like all the time. I actually make money doing something else besides what I'm doing here. So I'm putting out videos as consistently as I can. So please like and subscribe and follow me. And I just hope that I'm an encouragement to you. And at any time, if there is anything that you want to, if there's anything that you want to discuss, I'm open to discuss it. If you have suggestions, if you have areas of correction that you can back up, by all means, correct me. I'm learning. I'm going into my old years. I'm still learning, and I don't know it all. So if I say something that isn't correct and you can back it up, by all means, please bring it up. That's very welcome. All discussion is welcome. Whether you believe what I believe or not, I'm not going to slam you for believing something different. As long as we can talk respectfully one to another, that's awesome. Feel free to engage and talk about things. That would be awesome. And if you are going to talk disrespectfully in any of the areas that I broadcast in, whether it's on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, Facebook, or whatever, you're going to put somebody down and not be respectful to them, whether they agree with you or believe something different. We're going to just kind of nix that, and that's not going to be allowed. But by all means, feel free to engage in conversation. That would be just great. So with that, I'm going to sign off and close this video out and start working on the next video. I thank you for joining Timotheos Media. I'm Tim Wright, your host, and I will see you in the next video.